Why does Voldemort always attack Harry at the end of the school year? Now, why doesn't he ever try to attack the Hogwarts Express to start the year, or maybe go after Harry when he's at the Burrow for Christmas or something? Obviously, the answer is it makes sense narratively. Each book is a year, and over the course of said year, Harry learns certain things that lead to the climax of the story to show how much Harry has grown. But that's too meta for me. I want something that makes sense in the canon rather than because of it. So, what's the deal? Is Voldemort an academic at heart who cares deeply about Harry's education, in spite of the fact that he's planning to kill him? You know, Maybe he spent the winter getting his body swimsuit ready for when he declares himself immortal to the world and he just wants to look his best. Or, who knows, maybe he wants to get his evil business done by spring so that he can summer in Majorca with the Dursleys. Ah, this is the life, eh, Vern? I know, it's ridiculous. Imagining such a beautiful place with the Dursleys in it. Ugh. Voldemort in that hat, though. I respect the beach fit. But what if we're looking at it from the wrong point of view? What if instead of Voldemort choosing to attack at the end of the year, what if he can't attack Hogwarts during the year? Let's recap all of his attacks in the books. First year, he doesn't really intend to attack Harry. He comes across him when he's trying to steal the Philosopher's Stone. But what ends up happening is that he's unable to touch Harry, and because of it, Quirrell dies, and he escapes less than the meanest ghost and almost loses all hope. Second year, he doesn't attack Harry himself, it's his Horcrux that does, as it's attacking the entire school. So we don't know if the Riddle Horcrux would have been able to touch Harry if it came back to be human, because it never does. Third year, no Voldemort. He says he was in Albania, but I bet he was hat shopping in Majorca. Fourth year, he manages to get Harry out of Hogwarts as the two duel in the graveyard. But you can argue what the next steps in Voldemort's plan were, but clearly his plan is to get Harry out of Hogwarts. He does not want to have what happened first year to happen again to save Harry. Fifth year, Voldemort and Harry duel in the Ministry, as once again, Voldemort's plan involves luring Harry outside of Hogwarts. Sixth year, he seems to be more focused on overtaking the Ministry and killing Dumbledore so that he can, get rid of the powers that would protect Harry, but even then, he doesn't join the attack to kill Dumbledore, and it's not that he doesn't know about it, he's threatening to kill Draco, so Draco has to be saying something to prevent Voldemort from just killing him. So that's three times now that Voldemort opts to not be at Hogwarts with Harry there. And that first year, I think, is the reason why. Now, as you remember, Harry is protected by sacrificial love cast upon him by his mother, and that's why Voldemort is unable to touch him. And Dumbledore takes this further with the Bond of Blood spell, which is the reason why Harry has to stay with the Dursleys on Privet Drive. While you can still call home the place where your mother's blood dwells, there you cannot be touched or harmed by Voldemort. But while he's forced to grow up at number 4 Privet Drive, we know that it's not the only place he considers his home. After 1 year at Hogwarts, he's already describing, missing Hogwarts so much that it's like having a constant stomach ache. He missed Hogwarts so much it was like having a constant stomach ache. He missed the castle, with its secret passageways and ghosts, his lessons, though perhaps not Snape, the potions master, the post arriving by owl, eating banquets in the great hall, sleeping in his four-poster bed in the tower dormitory, visiting the gamekeeper, Hagrid, in his cabin in the grounds next to the Forbidden Forest, and especially Quidditch, the most popular sport in the wizarding world. 6 tall goalposts, 4 flying balls, and 14 players on broomsticks. Sounds like someone's homesick. Now, there is the condition of his mother's blood, and obviously none of the Dursleys are at Hogwarts ever, but at the same time, to get around sacrificial love, Voldemort uses Harry's blood, not Petunia's or Dudley's, so I think you can argue that by the bond of blood, Harry can be protected by his own blood at his true home, Hogwarts. Now, I hear you asking, If Harry's own blood is able to protect him, then why would Dumbledore let him live with the Dursleys after a while when he knows that they are abusing him? Two reasons. One, I do think for what Dumbledore has planned for Harry, it's more important that he be humble, and even if he's raised by the Weasleys, there is more of a risk that he could have an ego like his father's, and you have to remember Dumbledore doesn't have all the information at this point in the story. He doesn't fully know about the Horcruxes or that Harry can even survive, but he's kind of raising him to die here. The other reason is just Dumbledore covering his bases, really. I mean, this is old magic that's not well known, so he's just doing everything possible to protect Harry here, even if it may not be the best for him growing up. I mean, it's kind of like, why would you use a battering ram on a door before checking if it's unlocked? Sure, one's going to be a lot more fun than the other, but that's not the main thing you're trying to do here. The next thing to ask is, what would happen if Voldemort were to try to attack Harry at Privet Drive? You know, what happens if he invokes that Bond of Blood spell? Obviously, it never happens in the story, but with blood and love involved, I think we could be looking at the closest effects being kind of like unbreakable vows or blood pacts. Obviously, for an unbreakable vow, if you break it, you die. And then Quirrell, in that first book, takes in Voldemort, and then when he touches Harry, he dies in a way that we don't see again in the series. And as far as blood pacts go, Voldemort is able to plan against Harry, which Dumbledore is not able to plan against Grindelwald and Fantastic Beasts, but at the same time, Voldemort is not able to personally attack Harry until after he takes in his blood. It's not a perfect one to one with blood packs, but it's also not as conscious of a choice to make it. There's no promise to never fight, it's just making it impossible for one to attack the other, which comes from the sacrificial love. But this then opens up another question about the Bond of Blood spell, because now Voldemort has Harry's blood running through his veins, so why doesn't he attack Privet Drive the summer before Order of the Phoenix? You know, is it because of the prophecy? I mean, some nights he's being protected by a squib and Mundungus Fletcher, who would surely flee just seeing Voldemort. Harry is never more vulnerable than he is the summer before his 5th year. I don't think he would be able to attack Privet Drive here even if he wanted to, and that's because the nature of the Bond of Blood spell. I think Moody explains it best when he says that once Harry leaves with the intent to never return, that's what lifts the protections of the spell from him. It's why the Battle of the Seven Potters can include Voldemort in it, because Harry is leaving Privet Drive and never going to come back. But what does that have to do with Hogwarts? Harry leaves after his 6th year to hunt down the Horcruxes, but Voldemort still isn't involved in the first part for the Battle of Hogwarts. You know, is he just that arrogant that he believes Harry will just give himself up no matter what? Not just arrogant about that, but believe that Harry is skilled enough to be able to withstand everything that Voldemort's throwing at Hogwarts, but not skilled enough to then defeat him, even as he knows that Harry is going after the Horcruxes. Does this kind of break my theory here? No, and I love this part. It's because when Harry leaves at the end of his 6th year, he thinks he may never come back to Hogwarts, but he also has a part of him that thinks that he can win and maybe someday he can return. Voldemort doesn't enter Hogwarts until Harry meets him in the forest with the intent to die, to never return home.
My God.
After Harry dies, Voldemort and him battle in the Great Hall at Hogwarts, and now Voldemort is able to enter the castle again because the Bond of Blood spell has been lifted. And that is why he didn't attack before now, because he couldn't. He didn't just choose not to join the battle in the first part. He literally could not enter the castle because he knew that if he attacked Harry in his home, he would suffer Quirrell's fate, and with Nagini being the only Horcrux he knows is safe as he enters, his Horcruxes may not be able to save him this time. So that's my theory for today. Had a lot of fun going down this rabbit hole that kind of starts with the quote at the end of Sorcerer's Stone when Harry says he's not really going home, and the Bond of Blood spell still protects him, though when he's at Privet Drive. And I just love this idea that Dumbledore found another way to protect Harry. It's like he basically said to Voldemort, "Sure, you can fight Harry, but I'm picking exactly when you're going to be fighting him, not a second earlier." And but now I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of this theory today? Or what do you think Voldemort's beach fit would be? Would he be more of a Speedo man? Or would he be dressing like Daniel Craig in Glass Onion, really putting a swimsuit and a very classy connotation? God, what a stupid way to end a video. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video today, please drop a like, subscribe if you want more like this, and I'll see you next time on STV.